Hey guys, this is Simona from Year in a Life, and today I want to introduce you Rebecca Winter. She's originally from the US and moved here because of her husband who is Dutch. Today I'll be picking her brain about gut health and how that affects your health. Rebecca, thank you so much for having me here. Will you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and where you live?
I'm originally from California in the US, but I live in Leiden. I've lived in Leiden for 7.5 years. I am an HR director for a major technology company, and I'm a kinesiologist in training. So I have a private practice on the side where I do coaching and I do kinesiology. In my spare time, I have a huge passion for CrossFit training. Well, I'm also deeply into nutrition and the science of nutrition.
So what I want to talk to you about today, Rebecca, is nutrition. But I heard you mention the word kinesiology, and I would love for you to explain what that is exactly.
Basically, kinesiology works with something we call the autonomic nervous system. You really have two parts. You have the somatic, which means I think about raising my arm, I raise my arm. Automatic part of your nervous system does things for you like digest your food or dilate your pupils, right? So that part of your nervous system, really, it goes on guard when there's something wrong in your body. We can treat basically anything. I see clients for anxiety, gut issues. I see children for learning and focus issues, also for food issues. In a kinesiology session, you come in feeling tired. We can discover something wrong with your thyroid, and we can discover if it's a nutritional issue, an emotional issue, an electrical issue, or actually a physical issue. So it's a fantastic diagnostic tool. What we say in kinesiology, where it isn't. You thought you had a shoulder problem? In fact, you have a gut problem. So, and kinesiology is absolutely brilliant at following the path to find out where it actually is.
Okay. Yeah. Rebecca, I heard you mentioning a lot of people having gut issues as an underlying problem. Can you tell us a little bit about what gut health is?
I sigh because it's such a broad area of challenge for people. You now know that the gut is a second brain. And so keeping it healthy is critical. You have the majority of your immune system in your gut, for example. You produce the majority of your serotonin, a chemical associated with depression. It's the happy chemical. There's so many things that your gut does that are critical for just your well-being and your overall health. We've linked gut issues to autism, Asperger's, ADHD, and it begins at birth. So if your child has had a natural birth, coming through the birth canal is its first exposure to taking in probiotics from the mother's birth canal. There's the gut, and it's the child's first experience of sort of building good gut health. Now, don't fear if your child hasn't had a natural birth, but do something about it. Put a little extra work into preparing their gut for the rest of their life. Breastfeeding is super important to gut health. You build immunity and gut health by breastfeeding your child. A lot of women today choose not to breastfeed, and to me that's a tragedy. You're compromising your child's health from day one. If you can't, I have taken a lot of insight and learning from a medical personality named Dr. Weston A. Price. He has a formula to replicate mother's milk as closely as possible with the most natural ingredients, getting all the probiotics, all the right vitamins. I did this. I made her milk daily. Personally, would have been very uncomfortable with store-bought. And I was so happy to be able to at least do this and create a proper foundation for her. So it's how you eat at the beginning. You're building what we call your microbiome. Your microbiome is just composed of good and bad bacteria, and you basically want 85% good and 15% bad. If something happens to wipe that out, like excessive use of antibiotics, body can rebuild it. You need to give it some help by taking probiotics. I recommend never taking antibiotics unless it's absolutely medically necessary and you're sure about that. There's lots of natural ways to deal with infection. If your microbiome is strong, the cold that just knocked you out won't knock me out because my immune system handles it.
No, it seems like that your guts really play such a big role in your general health. A lot of times we buy things we think are healthy, and we put things into our body that we don't even know about. Should be talked about much more.
We put a lot of bad things that feed the bad bacteria. And that 85-15% balance goes wrong.
Yeah.
The number of bacteria in your body compared to the number of other kind of cells is astronomical. Some medical people say you are your bacteria. Thoughts that you have can be the good bacteria or the bad bacteria speaking. So you talk about food that you put in. We even sometimes don't register how important our bowel movements are. So I talk to a lot of people who think going every 2 days is okay. Every 3 days is okay. It's not okay. You need to go once a day. The toxic bowels are being sucked back up into your bloodstream and making your liver work overtime to detoxify your body, your kidneys work overtime. It's just not good. And so that's another big misconception. Like, how should a healthy gut function? You know, it's a great reason to come to a kinesiologist to just get regular. It would have a phenomenal impact on your health.
When we start feeding solids to our children, what would be some things that you would advise beginning with and some things to avoid?
It is very important what you feed your children to get them started correctly in life. It will be important to their behavior as well as their gut health. I highly recommend not starting with grains. The amount of grain allergies and processed grains in our diet in this day and age is, I can't even tell you, it is such a profound problem. And if anybody's interested in coming to talk to me about it, we can talk about it over a coffee. I recommend extremely nutrient-dense foods. Right? So a piece of white bread has form and substance, but zero nutrition. Why would you waste that on your child? What I started my daughter with, something very simple. So every day, we soft-boiled an egg, and she ate the yolk. Okay? Egg yolk is an extremely nutrient-dense food. We also gave her very small amounts, get ready, raw liver. So this was biological grass-fed liver that had been frozen for 2 weeks, just out of parasite concerns. And we would grate a little bit in the egg. Liver is nature's multivitamin. They're powerful, phenomenal nutrition. I mentioned earlier that I make fermented vegetables. I would take a little bit of the brine and put it in a little cup for her. She would drink it down because I naturally lacto-ferment the vegetables. It was just full of probiotics. So again, another step in layering her gut with the right probiotics. And so, you know, as she got a little bit older, other things I started giving her was liver pate. And I tell you, my daughter, the calmest child you will ever meet, the most balanced. My daughter has never, ever had a meltdown. Not once. Once. That's the only time I can remember, and it's because she was given sugar.
So do you think meltdowns have to do something with nutrition?
Meltdowns are very highly correlated with nutrition. You will see children out on the street drinking milk bottles full of apple juice. Even if it's organic, right, with no sugar added. You know, it just goes straight into your digestive system. It's absorbed like as fast as possible. It will spike your blood sugar, spike your insulin, and cause behavioral issues, even natural apple juice. Yes, food plays the biggest role in children's behavior. We've seen cases of children who had ADHD. We just changed their diet, nothing else. They were absolutely fine. People are giving their children food and they don't even realize, you know, they give them pasta, they give them white bread, right? They give them juice, you know, and these children can't function. So a child's state of health is highly impacted by what a mother eats. It's not only about what you feed your child, it's about what you eat when you're pregnant. If you want a good eater, you need to eat well yourself when you're pregnant. I never ate sugar when I was pregnant. I ate egg yolk, I ate liver, I ate tons of fermented cod liver oil, I ate only grass-fed biological meat, and I consumed raw dairy. So dairy with all the probiotics from a healthy farm, not far from Leiden, right? Where we're really certain about the quality of the meat and the milk and the cheese. But full of probiotics and vitamins. And my daughter got all this in utero. If I had eaten sugar and chocolate and candy and whatever, that's what she'd be craving when she come out, right? So do the thing that you want to get. You're building a human being. Or you use crappy bricks and crappy wood if you're building your house. No, you're not. You're going to get the best materials because you don't want it to fall down on you, right? You're building a human being when you're pregnant.
So everything that you said now sounds amazing, but I'm thinking my child will not eat these things. My child likes cookies, my child likes white bread with peanut butter and chocolate. So what if someone who's watching now, their child is a really difficult eater? Can you help them in this area?
It's quite possible I could help them. You can't ever promise anything. Difficult eating is a multifaceted issue. As I mentioned earlier, try to not get there in the first place by eating well when your child is in the womb and setting the right example immediately. If you already have a difficult eater, kinesiology can help a family explore that. So you want to answer the question of, why is your child difficult? Is it actually about your child? Is it about the family system? Is it about something, that comes a little bit farther back in the family system? Another thing that could be going on is maybe there's something structural. Maybe the bone in their throat is off. Maybe the bone in their skull called the atlas bone is off. Maybe their body's off center. Maybe something, maybe one of the valves in their gut is stuck. Maybe their small intestine is inflamed. I mean, it could be a lot of things. It could be a lot of things. So in addition to the family system, we would look at everything associated with the food passage through the body and see if there's something off balance. That's very easy to tell. Even with a small child, we would use the parent to do that investigation.
I wanted to ask you about our daily sugar intake. I think it can be quite high without us even realizing it. Is there a healthy alternative that we could replace it with?
Certainly when you go shopping, you need to read all the labels, because there is sugar in everything. It's absolutely devastating when you start paying attention.
Some baby foods too, right?
Oh, absolutely baby foods.
Yogurt.
Yeah. I mean, the breadsticks at my daughter's creche have sugar in it. We give my daughter her snack. The other kids get what the creche serves. And you might say, I don't want my daughter to be different. I don't really want my kid to be different either. She seems to be okay with it. We monitor that. We have brainwashed her from day one about good and bad sugar. My daughter's been known to refuse a chocolate bunny at Easter because it had sugar in it. So, I talk to her like a grown-up about this stuff really from day one. That doesn't mean she's perfect. At birthdays, anything goes.
Free pass.
Absolutely, right? We don't want her to be a Martian.
Yeah.
But the daily activity of eating snack at creche, she brings her own. If you're giving your body enough healthy fat and greens, your cravings for sugar will go down. Another sort of blanket easy way to approach it is just cut out all carbs. Just do it. All refined carbs, cut them out. Again, though, it's not a matter of when you take something away from the body, you do have to replace it with something, but not what you might think. And don't get obsessed about the thing that looks like a cookie that's really not a cookie. People get stuck in this, let me find an alternative, versus a deep understanding of how much damage the simple carbohydrates are doing to your body. Because pasta will end up doing to your body exactly what refined sugar will. It breaks down in your body's glucose, full stop, raises your blood sugar, spikes your insulin. Type 2 diabetes is in your future. What you need to do is increase the healthy fat in your diet and your child's diet. So if you're not giving them pasta and bread and breadsticks and apple juice, they need to eat good cheese, real cheese, butter. So give them the spinach with a big slab of butter, They need to have fats in their food, because your body can burn one of two kinds of foods. It will burn sugar or glucose, or it will burn fat. So if you're taking away the glucose by cutting out refined carbs, You need to give your body healthy fat. If you train your body to burn fat for fuel, it's actually far healthier, and that's what the ketogenic eating is all about.
What we talked about now, I'm thinking to myself, and probably the listener does the same, my life is so busy. How do I ferment my own vegetables? When do I go to the farm to pick up biological meat?
It certainly is a lifestyle in the sense of what are your priorities. So one of my number one priorities is having a healthy child, being healthy myself, because it's a losing battle. If you lose your health, you will lose everything else. Health enables so many other things. Otherwise, by the time you're 50, you will be on 3 prescription medications and you'll be far more limited than you would have imagined. Let me just say that first. It is a matter of priority. You will be sorry. So I'm extremely motivated, and what I like to say is reasons reap results. Do the thing that you want. You have the reason, and I am deeply versed in this. I well know the consequences of not doing it. Then I will say, I'm an extremely busy person. I work for a big technology company. I have a private practice. I have a husband. I have a daughter. And I still do this. So my message there is it doesn't take a lot of time. So what do? We go to the farm and we go to Geertjes Boerderij, 10 minutes from Leiden. We will buy a lot of meat and put it in the freezer. Making a healthy meal with some steamed vegetables and some meat in a pan, real simple. I also do things that maybe take a bit more thought and building a pattern. I keep bone broth going in a slow cooker on the side of my stove. We put some meat in, use the broth every day. We go to Eco Plaza, buy a little bit more meat, take it out, put it in, right? And it's just going constantly. Occasionally, we stop and start over. But it's just, so it's a habit we have. It's not time consuming. Bone broth is extremely nutrient dense. It is so incredibly mineral dense, probiotic dense, building cartilage and bone and brain function. That's super easy. You have to build the habit. Fermenting vegetables. Well, I buy vegetables when I go to the store. Literally takes me 10 minutes to cut some up, put it in a mason jar, put some salt in, cover it with water, done, put it on the shelf. 3 days later, you have a ferment. Few key things that I do that are profoundly impactful to our health. We're like everybody else, running to the shop and getting a few things for dinner, but we have some basic things. It's really not that hard. My daughter's lunch. I think a lot of people think, juice pack and this and that prepackaged thing. My suggestions, make extra at dinner and give your child a hot lunch. Sometimes we make extra at breakfast. We are always trying to optimize, so we reuse our meals. Recycle the meals, yeah. And if you get really into deep nutrition, there's 2 things to know about. One is what to eat, and we've been mostly talking about what to eat. The other thing that most people have no idea about is when to eat. When to eat has to do with how your hormones work. For mothers and for women my age and people my age trying to lose weight, that is the missing key for most people. Not
When
just
to eat
what,
it.
when to eat.
Well, it's been great talking to you, and you've been so generous with your time and all the information you have given us. If you would give the listener one tip to walk away from this interview, what would that be?
It's really a profound question, Simona, because there are many things I could say. At the heart of it all is what I said earlier in the interview. Reasons reap results. So my biggest advice is to take heed, grasp onto what I've said, that nutrition is so profoundly impactful for your brain health, for your body's health, for your children's health, their ability to learn. Go do the research. Go look into it deeply for yourself. Read stuff. So develop your own belief around its importance. The rest will follow. If you are motivated, the information will find you, really. You will connect with others who have similar beliefs, and it will be a process educating yourself, right? Because there's lots of different views out there, but the more you do it, the more you sort of hone in on what makes sense to you and you start making choices. But none of that's going to happen because somebody told you to do it. You need to believe it. I believe it to the bottom of my toes. I know it. I have no doubt in my mind. I've experienced the results myself. You were shocked when I said I was 46.
Yeah.
You know, I have a ton of energy. I have been at this a long time, but I know this to be true. And so it is super easy for me to prioritize it. I want to be 75 and running marathons, right? I'm not going to be in a wheelchair in an old person's home. I'm intending to take care of myself and my family, give my daughter the best chance at life that she has. So
I hope you enjoyed today's interview just as much as I did. If you have any questions, please leave a comment here and Rebecca would love to answer. Also, underneath the video, you'll find a text where I'll put links to everything and anything we talked about in this show. So I hope you enjoyed it and see you guys soon. Bye.